the clock was kind of ticking because you were getting a salary, but actually I'm an adult now and I need to yes, I have my family and my mom, but our dad's not around, and I'm kind of me and my brother, we're sort of coming towards being the breadwinners of the family. So you have to you find ways to I was like, I need to start working.
Hello everyone, this is Across the Line with Chris Greatrich and Sadaf Tupas, and this is our second episode, but this is part 1 of 2 in this very, very long interview with James Younghusband.
Yeah, this interview had to be a two-parter. Definitely wasn't going to be a 2-hour special. James was extremely generous with his time as well as he was with his stories. Very, very open with his time at Chelsea, growing up in England, and then what it was like for him when he found himself out of football, which I think was a really, really interesting part.
If you want us to continue doing more episodes, subscribe to us on YouTube, and also download the episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and on Spotify. You can also like our Facebook page and also share the videos that we have there, and drop a comment para tuloy-tuloy itong Across the Line.
Today we have Philippine football legend James. I think it's James. Is it James or Phil? I'm not sure. I think it's James Younghusband in the room. How are you?
I'm very good, mate.
Jet lagging?
A bit adjusted. It's been a week now since I've got back to Manila, so adjusted now, and I'm very happy and very proud to be here on Across the Line.
Beautiful. Just so everyone knows, James has recently returned from the UK. I was there also at the celebrating the.
I didn't get an invite.
No, you didn't get. Oh, didn't you?
Oh.
Didn't get the call up.
Yeah,
I got the call.
I think it was lost in the mail, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't worry, you're invited to my one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. At least I get one Younghusband wedding to go.
There's no definite date yet, though.
So last week, Philip Younghusband, off the market, married to
officially now
to the lovely Margaret Hall.
Margaret Younghusband. Margaret Younghusband Hall. Well, let's ask
Younghusband.
Let's ask her. We don't actually know, really.
We'll find out.
The photos were beautiful, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone was looking good, looking sharp there.
Yeah, it was really great. It was really great. Saying before, people have asked me how I was, and I give them this honest answer. You really live in the moment when it actually happens. I was very honoured to be the best man. And
did the tear?
I held it in.
Okay.
I held it in.
He gave a great speech.
Thank you, Chris.
He gave a great speech, and it was emotional.
Thank you so much.
There wasn't a dry eye in the house. He managed to keep it together. You broke a little bit at one point.
I held it together. I like what Rob's review that he said. It was just Jimmy. It was a Jimmy speech, and I that's why I really tried to make it I felt people say, have you prepared your best man speech yet? And I was like, yeah. I had a rough idea in my mind what I was going to say, but I just wrote notes down and what I must include in the speech. But I was all relaxed. But then right after we finished the church ceremony, and then we sat down, I couldn't eat dinner. I was so nervous. It started to hit me. And I had memories of your wedding, mate. I was like that one was I was a bit more relaxed. I was really a guest then, but I could feel how nervous you must have been, and your brothers weren't nervous, that's for sure. But me, I was nervous because I was like, I'm speaking to people, half the group. It's Mags's side from England, so I don't really know them. I'm getting to know them now. So, but in the end, it worked out really well. And I just really, it's the truth. It sounds cheesy, but I spoke from the heart and included some stories, some funny stories. The jokes I think that would have worked in the Philippines didn't work there though. But
that's the cultural
exactly. And then the jokes that would work here. Oh no, the jokes that would work here didn't work there. I was kind of.
Did you tell them about the bachelor party?
Did I?
The story of
no, I did not. That's
70. How much was it?
Oh no, we'll get to that part in a bit. But I remember because I learnt my lesson from Chris's wedding with his best men speech is that do not mention the bachelor party because you get some people there who weren't there and they're like, oh yeah, talk about the party we weren't at. So I know how it feels. I know I've seen some people's reactions to that. So now I just spoke about stories about Phil and Mags, and I actually mentioned how I actually met Mags first.
That didn't go down very well.
That didn't go down, but that's what I mean. That was kind of like
I got it.
Cheers, mate. But it kind of was it kind of backfired. I didn't mean it. It was kind of implying that I could have got with her instead of my brother. But no, I didn't mean that. I was just saying that it's funny. I met Mags before Phil, and So like I thought I'd throw that out there, but they were kind of the group thought that I was implying that we could have been together, but I did not mean that. Oh, she's a sister to me. But yeah, that's how it started off well, and it was all in all a really great time and really happy. And then sort of like it's the whole venue was nice, the wedding, the pictures, as you said, and
it was like a mini reunion as well.
Yeah,
like
that's
a lot of people have commented on the fact that there was a very old school Azkal vibe.
No, exactly. I made sure to mention I knew you'd like that one. I said like the Younghusband, when I gave the speech, I mentioned everyone in attendance, the Younghusband group, our school friends, and then our Azkals Filipino friends. So yeah,
Chad Gold was there.
Chad was there, and it was great to talk to him. And yeah, we were hoping he'd give a little song, but I think he just wanted to relax with it. And going back to what Chris was saying, how it actually was, it's a great catch up, but it wasn't like usually you think everyone be drinking, but I think everyone was too busy talking and catching up that not many people like had a lot to drink and stuff, and people were enjoying like catching up and sharing stories.
Well, if you got a good review from Rob, that must be good.
Rob and Chris. They're the ones that matter. Of course, Phil and Megs' family matter as well when they hear the speech.
One of the things that struck me about the wedding, I don't know if you saw it, but the production was incredible. It garnered a little bit of notoriety with some of our media friends over here.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about with you is you've effectively grown up in the limelight here in the Philippines. The spotlight's been on you and your brother pretty much since you've been here. How have you dealt with it? Because I know for me, I would struggle with that, and I have struggled with the very limited sample that I've had. But you guys, I think, have dealt with it really well, in my opinion. And what I've had the pleasure of being around you in some of those moments. But how do you deal with it? How do you deal with the attention? Is it something you enjoy? Is it something that you just have to put up with? Because you seem to take it in your stride.
No, it's I'll be honest, pal. They know me and my brother here in the Philippines, but then in other parts of the world they don't. So we kind of have that luxury of coming here and like we get everyone's reactions, but then we can have a break from it going out the country.
See, I disagree with that.
You think?
Yeah.
Go to Indonesia. And then,
I've been with you in Dubai. I've been with you
cheers,
in other places, and oh my God, it's James Younghusband off it. So I disagree. I think most it's still within the Filipino community, but there's very few places that you can go to because Filipinos are everywhere. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Where
that's true.
People aren't going to recognise you. People do recognise you. I mean, how do you feel that you're walking in a mall? You want to go and buy your groceries or whatever. You might be in the Philippines. You might be, somewhere in the Middle East, but you get recognised. I mean, how do you find that?
I'm actually fortunate. I've got good people around me to help us deal with that, to kind of share the load. Actually, like got yourselves and when like we have a bit of banter when we're with the team, and then we've got like sort of our family friends, Jojo Durian and God bless her, rest her soul, Kathy Nazareno. Before they helped share the workload, and you had that place to come together where it'd be at your houses and you can relax with like some drinks and food. And when you go out, you sort of like, I'll be honest, it sounds me sucking up to the Philippines, playing sip, but it is true. It's how nice the Philippine culture is. Like people, they will ask, "Are you Philip James?"
Yeah.
But because they say we look alike, but no, if you see us, we actually look a bit different.
Yeah.
But they are so nice about it. There's no one aggressive about it. Of course, people would like a picture, would like to interact with you, and I kind of put it it's really rewarding because it may sound a bit mayabang, but growing up we had role models such as David Beckham, and if you see Hollywood, like you see how these guys are and how appreciate me. I tried getting I feel if I saw a Hollywood celebrity, I'd be like, the first thing is that just that moment I have with that person and what I take away of seeing that person and how that person reacted to me asking them for a picture, or just that even that 10 seconds, how that person responded to me. I look at the lights, I went to Singapore when Sarah's went there for pre-season, and I was on the same flight as them, but I was going for the Captain Marvel event, and you got these big Hollywood personalities coming to Singapore. So we had the likes of all the Southeast Asian community, Singapore people, Indonesia people, Vietnamese people, and then Philippines people. But like they were really nice. Brie Larson, you see how she treated fans, but Samuel Jackson, how he's trying to have banter with everyone, and he's just a cool guy. I was like, with me, I'd be so stressed out, but he just seemed so relaxed walking down. But then the one who really stuck was Gemma Chan. She walked in and she went literally looked tired, to be fair to her, but she got everyone and took a picture with everyone she could with, and she was there for about an hour walking up and down taking pictures of everyone. And then even like same with, I'm not comparing myself to these guys, but I'm just saying how people react when being asked for pictures or autographs at these events, or as you say, that celebrity kind of mode. And then you have like I remember Angelina Jolie. I went to London and I waited a long time just to get a glimpse of her. And she was beautiful, but just the way I remember her, she was next to us, and then she was like, the security was trying to rush her, but she was like, no, I want to get everyone. And just hearing that shows that they really, like, I know they're in front of people, but just like they are willing to sacrifice their time to just give you a good experience and be nice, and that actually does spread around and make people react better to each other.
That's actually something that a lot of people don't know about you.
Yeah,
you're a movie buff.
I am a movie buff. Actually.
That's why that's coming out now.
Not a lot of people know this.
Yeah.
Right. So I would like, because actually how I wanted to start this interview was talking about your love of movies.
Cheers, mate.
Because basically,
I just brought it up myself.
Yeah, I mean, you like football.
Yeah.
But you love movies.
I love football.
Specifically comic book movies.
Specifically, it's
right?
become like that's more my hobby now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm really into that now, and I'm still into football, and I enjoy my football. It's just like you just take it out of that and then do something else that doesn't stress you out.
Yeah. Is it something that you think is part of your kind of relaxation routine?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what it is for
that's
you?
the good one. Yeah, it's like I've been lucky enough this time I've had off football, like to go to some events and interact with the Disney Philippines people, and they've had me in their event, and it's good just to talk, to sort of socialize with them and talk, because there is no politics when it comes to that sort of thing, and it's just great to, like you said, like the relaxation part of it.
Is that something you want to do? Because you always joke about wanting to go to Hollywood and be an actor.
No, I'm not going to be an actor. Are
you sure?
I'm sure.
But you say like you joke it.
No, I will say.
I'll
be honest. It's one where I would like to get involved. I'm interested. Like, let's be honest, we only live like once in our lives, and life's short. Like, I love it. I've been doing football for 10 years now, and I'll come back to it later about how the schedule's been, but. Just with that part, I'm interested in how movies are made and the art that goes into it. And to be honest, when I go to these events, seeing the crowd, the community that comes together for these events, and it's with them. It's not about them; they are actually fans of the artwork and people's work.
Yeah, that's kind of like football as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's what, like I said, it's really bringing people together, and like you share these common interests, and it's a good way for people to bond and talk and get along.
I want to bring it back a little bit to the sort of celebrity aspect. I think you deal with it really, really well.
Cheers, mate.
You know, and I think when you touched upon the fact, you know, like Angelina Jolie is willing to spend time with their fans and really give them that, even if it's just for that little glimpse, that little moment. I think that makes it makes their day, it makes their week, it makes their life.
Exactly,
in some instances.
mate, yeah.
And I see that with you. Like I see that with your brother, and I think you're really good with interacting with your fans.
Cheers,
you know, whether it be on social media, whether it be in public. Where does that stem from, do you think? Because I think a lot of people, when they get to a certain level, you know, of whether it be celebrity, you probably don't see yourself as a celebrity, but you are. Where do you think that stems from? Like you say about sort of being grounded and wanting to share time with these people and giving them a good experience. Where do you think ultimately that stems from?
Sorry, mate, what do you mean?
Like, a lot of people are quite arrogant, I think, and when they get to that level, it's like, well, I'm a superstar. I don't need to spend my time taking a picture. But you do. You do. Like, is that something that, is it, like you said, people around you that have kept you grounded? Do you think it's from your past as a young child? Like, do you think your parents instilled that from you from a young age to be humble? Like, where do you think that level of grounding and that level of sort of care and attention
definitely
comes from?
Background, being honest. Especially coming from my mum and dad. Like, our mum was very... she would always get mad at my brother when he was a bit mayabang, a bit arrogant about stuff. She's like, no, I did not raise you that way. You got to be a bit more like down to earth and be a bit more like thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
Our dad was the strict one, but you could understand why he was strict, especially as you get older. Like, now I know what my dad meant by that, but yeah, just I think it was just the family environment. Like as well, I had my brother as well to bounce off. I had good friends like you and Sadel to talk about stuff with, and it's just that I say it's surround yourself by the good people. That's who you're about. Being honest, I know what people mean when you see some people be a bit arrogant, but I guess that's what that's their group that they probably hang around with if they are. Because I've always like you want to, if you're in a good environment, you will. That's what energy you'll get, and then that's what you're very influenced by. So yeah, that's why I really believe that if things are out of your control, the best thing you can do is just lead by example.
Yeah, I remember your mom fondly.
Yeah.
She was always very supportive.
Very.
Coming over to games, traveling before. And I remember I had one dinner with her, first time probably like 2008, and these waiters in the restaurant in Iloilo, they were all looking forward to serving her because she's like giving away 200 peso tips.
Bribery.
That's why that was the first encounter with your mom. I was like, oh, now I know why Phil and James are like this.
Yeah, no, our mum, she's. I mean, it's like it's like your mum, Chris, like that Filipino, like that tradition where their kids is that's their life, their kids, and our mum, like God like rest her soul, she just when we were younger, our sister was just born, and me and Phil were still in high school. We couldn't drive yet, but our mum would drive. She just learnt to pass a test, but so she was quite scared, but she still did it. She'd pick us up every day from school and drive us straight to football training at Chelsea Football Club in London. So it was like an hour and a half drive from where we were, and she did. And like obviously, London, it's very aggressive, especially on the roads. But that's how much she wanted us. Like she would do for us. She'd willing to sacrifice like her time and getting yelled at by other road rage people, just to bring us to training and get us. We were fortunate enough to get that education, and she'd put spaghetti, like microwavable spaghetti, in the microwave before and have it prepared for us after school, so we had some food before training, a bit of carbo load, and yeah, so we were very fortunate to have that actually.
How was it for you growing up in the UK? Obviously, I want you to kind of paint the picture for what it was like for you growing up, because you grew up in Staines. Yeah,
Staines
your brother is. Yeah, for those who don't know, Staines is made famous by initially a television series, Ali G in the House, and then subsequently the
Staines
film.
Massive.
Your brother obviously is 11 months
younger than me. Exactly.
Than you. Same year at school.
Exactly.
And then Kerry is
14 years gap.
So obviously it was primarily the two of you with your mum and dad.
Yep. So close in age. Yeah.
How was it for you growing up in Staines?
It was great. It was great. It was a bit young. When I've always put my mind to back when I was a young kid and what I thought about stuff, and I didn't know how big the world was then, because you're in Staines, you're in that town, and Staines they have a quite well-known football team, Staines Town, and like that was that community of Staines where like people would play football. It's a nice area to grow up in. You have like parks. You've had like. We would play football on the streets and stuff, and I was fortunate enough I had my brother, so we'd always play sports together. We'd ride our bikes with our dad to the park, and it was by the river, so you had it's like a nice place, like you walk by the river, River Thames exactly. So, and then you'd have the local pub, which is a hotel as well, where we call it the Pack Horse, and that's where every Sunday our dad's side we'd always go there, and they'd have a pint together and catch up for the week and gossip. And then me and Phil, we'd go off with our cousin, who I'm not sure if you might have met him at the wedding, a tall guy on the Younghusband table, and then so we'd go off, sneak off with him, lighting matches, trying to light trees on fire because we didn't know that wasn't good. But and then I remember Phil now and then falling in the River Thames when we played by the river, and then
that made its appearance in the.
No, this was a different one. I forgot to mention a different time. Phil's been in the river loads of times. Actually, I think I may have fallen in one time. Yeah, we're clumsy, me and Phil, growing up, and it's really nice there, and it's that environment of growing up there, and like it's a nice place to grow up in, and we were very fortunate, and you have the river, you have the Thames, the parks to play football in, and just that community of like that's what got us into sports when we were younger.
And who introduced you to football?
Our dad.
Yeah.
Our dad signed us up with the local youth of Stainstown then, and like
Which division was in?
they were back then in the Ryman Premier, so that's maybe 6 tiers down, I think,
Yeah,
from
a
the
bit
top,
further down,
maybe
yeah.
a bit further down. But it was good. It's like then it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's just playing the sport for what it is. And like I said, I had my brother, so it was something we could do together. I tried all sports, like swimming. We did taekwondo. We did athletics. We did cricket. Cricket we didn't like because it's a lot of standing around, and like I think my brother like the balls are hard. We didn't like that. But swimming, I wasn't a fan of getting up at 5 a.m. and like it was tiring. It was tiring. Like it's just a rush in you. You just look down and see the water the whole time. Athletics, yeah, it was. Those were more individual sports, and that's why I respect these guys who do it, like, because that is really challenging, those sports. But football, it was something me and Phil could do together. When you're on the team, and then you're play, like you win together, you lose together, and you're in it together, really. And that's what I think we really stuck with football. And obviously, football was really growing then with the Premier League, and it was something that was constantly on TV.
So what you playing, like Sunday League football at this point?
Sunday,
Yeah.
we were just playing mini leagues, like a bit like with Anton's league. We're playing 7-a-sides, like just every Sunday, and it was good just to play and get a feel for it. It wasn't too serious. But then we were actually quite late starters in getting involved in the Sunday league team. When we were 10 years old, we signed up. We signed
That's
up.
quite late. That's quite
That
late
is
in the UK.
exactly.
Why the sort of the delay in starting?
I think because we were unsure if we really wanted to pursue football.
Really?
We were playing football at a young age, but in joining teams, we were quite late starters.
Really?
As you said, mate. I think obviously, like, you're sort of still discovering what sports you'd like to do and giving it all a test. And then so we joined a team which actually wasn't in Staines, it was Stanwell, like it was Stanish Colts, and again me and Phil played together. And like you join that team, and we actually didn't we stayed there for maybe a year and a bit, and our dad took us out the team. And this is no one knows this, I've mentioned this for a long time. Me and Phil just talked about this. Our dad, we were at a tournament and our dad was not happy. He actually grabbed me and my brother's hand and we walked away because we weren't playing enough.
Right.
And then our dad took us out, and then we found out maybe about a week or two later that team had folded because we were like, what? Because me and Phil weren't playing anymore, but we weren't even playing in the lineup because we weren't winning games, and me and Phil were on the bench a long time, and so we.
And why weren't you playing that much? Because I'm always intrigued to know because there's some footballers who from the age of 3, 4, this kid's going to be a star.
Yeah.
Was this the case for you or not? Because
we were still playing. It's I was still young, still understanding how football worked, and I think it's hard because when you've got parents involved, there's a lot of issues with parents, and that's why I put myself in parents' shoes now. It's like, the most important thing is you're not going to get both ways where your goal is to win and develop. Because if it's to win, you will play the strongest players and they'll play more. But if it's to develop, you got to give everyone a fair share. Which is why I understand at first I'm skipping ahead, when we joined Chelsea Football Club, there is no league in youth development. There is no league. It's just games. You're playing against other academies, but they don't do a league table because they think that's not the goal. The goal is to develop players, and that's why it's very difficult at a young age at youth football to have league tables. Because you want to encourage winning, but then all the players are going to develop differently. Like I remember, and it's like you get some players like all of a sudden when they're 20, all of a sudden their height they just shoot up in size, and that's when I realised, like, we'd always question back then, why is there no league table? Why are we not like they do in the Premier League? But when you get older, you understand because that is not the goal. The goal is to develop and get kids playing. And they can afford to make mistakes, and it's not too much on the young kid. They can make mistakes, but then they learn from it because there's going to be other games, but there's no league table.
So what happened then? So you left the club.
We left the club,
and then what? So
and
then the other team folded. So
the team folded, and then we actually that's when.
And you joined who?
We joined Halliford Colts. We joined another team, and this one was we got a bit. We were really close to this group. Like, we'd go around each other's houses for barbecues. This was a real good community. And
how old are you at this point?
I think 8 or 9. No, no, we joined 10, so maybe 11 or 12.
Okay.
But back then we actually were training with Chelsea. Like it's quite a confusing time, but we were Chelsea part-time as well. Like,
how did that come about?
We were with our school team. We went on county trials because we played for our school team.
Yeah.
And when we went to the county trials,
so this would be Surrey, I'm guessing.
Surrey, Surrey,
Surrey schools,
and we played for.
So just to give a little backdrop for everyone who might not understand the landscape of sort of football in the UK, a lot of times players will play for their school or their club team, and then from there represent their. In England, it's called county. People might recognise that as state or region
or province.
Province
is a way to say it here.
So that I'm assuming this is made up of the best players from your
school. Our school sent us.
School areas,
there was two. There was district and county. County was the bigger one.
Yeah.
So we went on our primary school sent me and my brother to county trials with our other school friend. And when we played, we went to the tryouts. It's just constant games. And me and my brother, like, we had some scouts come, like Tottenham, Chelsea, Watford, or mainly all the London clubs.
Yeah.
They went up to our mum and dad and inquired, would we like to go training with Chelsea? And it was massive. And
you must have, sort of just stepping back a little bit. That must be quite a considerable shift in quite a short period of time.
It was, mate.
By the sounds of what you're saying, probably 2 years earlier, you're playing on a Sunday league team and not getting much game time.
Yep.
With an irate dad who's pulling you off the field.
Yep.
So in a very short space of time, you've now in a position where you're getting asked to join one of the most prestigious clubs in the country. What's happened in that 2 year period? Is it just your love for the game has developed?
Yeah.
You worked really hard on your skills and your technique. Like how have you kind of bridged that gap between not playing much Sunday league to being asked to join a really big club?
I think what do you call it? I think that you're right. It all happened at once. So you fall in love with the sport. It's on TV. You're playing for. That's what's good. We were playing for loads of teams, so we're playing more football. But the teams didn't conflict with each other. So we had our school team. We had we played for our district as well. We played for our county team. We played for our club team. And then obviously now Chelsea's coming about. So that's a lot of teams to play for.
So how many days in a week do you guys play?
For which one?
For all the football overall.
So for the school team, maybe again 2 games a month, but we train when we're in school. District and county, that was not much, but that was maybe you play 4 or 5 games a year. It was spread out a bit. It wasn't too consistent. And then for our club team, every Sunday. And then
training
twice a week, which is part-time, like semi-professional. And then you have and then Chelsea, that at first you start off just training twice a week, and then and then here's where the tricky part, the decision making came. When we were at Chelsea, we were trained twice a week, but then they would have games as well, and then obviously if you did well in training, they'd want you'd be invited to play for the game. And the good thing is, because there is no league, there's no registration. So then you can play for the team whenever when they just call you up. So when they call you up for Chelsea, that's when we had to make a decision between Halifax Colts and Chelsea, and that's when it became a bit like they took it. They didn't take. And we had to leave Halifax. We made the decision to follow Chelsea.
And at what age have you made this decision?
11 and 12.
11 and 12.
Wow. Yeah. So you left the Colts for the Blues, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you make it sound like a hard decision.
It was hard.
Chelsea against Arsenal, or Halifax Colts against some other Colts team.
It was hard. It's like.
Is it more because the fact you wanted to be with your friends?
The community, community, and obviously when you're at Chelsea, you still get along with players, but obviously it's very different environment. It's very competitive. This is one where you're pursuing it for a career. Well, Halifax Colts is you still enjoy it. It's more about the community and as a team. So we had to make that decision, and we went to play for Chelsea, and that's when so we're at Chelsea now.
So you signed for Chelsea. So you're 12, Phil's 11.
Yeah.
You both signed at the same time.
Yeah, but we've been training for a couple of years with them. But this is when you officially sign on to be there. That's your main team now.
So now you're training 2 or 3 times a week at this point?
2 to 3 times a week. Yeah. And then every near the airport. Harlington back then. It was good. You always got a Mars bar and back there Lucozade, which is the Gatorade version there.
So are we in sort of Abramovich era at this point?
Nope.
Or approaching it?
Nope. This is the
Ken Bates?
This is the Ken Bates, the Gianluca Vialli, Ruud Gullit time.
But so
Dennis Wise time.
At this point now, just again to shed a little bit of light for our listeners, the influx of foreign players has started at Chelsea.
Bit by bit.
I remember
some English young.
I remember going to that training ground and playing at Heathrow. I remember I must have been about 12, so I'm 3 years older than you.
Yep.
And I remember we played them on a Sunday. I remember seeing Dennis Wise, who we actually ended up getting to know quite well, and Ruud Gullit. And Ruud Gullit was running around the field. So obviously he was probably the first of that foreign contingent to come through. So this would have been probably mid to late 90s at this point. So this is probably sort of a little bit later on for you. What was the vibe like at Chelsea? Because obviously the transition had started to happen at this point. So Chelsea were no longer sort of, a bang average London team. They were a team kind of headed in the right direction now. So how was it for you sort of being a part of that club?
I was, as a young kid, and then you're watching TV every week and you're seeing these players on TV. As a young kid, that's amazing because you're not used to it. You're like, I see him on TV, and then now I'm seeing him in real life, and he looks bigger than he does on TV. That's what I mean. As a young kid, you're training at the same place as Chelsea, where they train every day. So it really makes you feel part of it. You're like, I'm that close. And and if you now, because we trained in the evenings and the first team would train in the mornings, you sometimes wouldn't see them, but maybe they'd be in the gym or in the physio room getting treatment throughout the whole day. So you may now and then when you're training at Harlington, Heathrow, you'd see a glimpse of them, and that means so much to you. And you're like, again, it's going back. You're not actually thinking how much money like this you can earn a living for this. You just see it as football, and like a player like who plays football on TV who you witness. So it's quite surreal, but it's just, and I think that's what I mean. That's why I know what it's like to be a young kid, and you see people players who play football regularly.
Quite inspirational.
Yeah, that's a good word, inspirational. And as I said, in this time we're still learning. I'm still learning how it works, the system, and how it works, because you're very like, it's like, I'm gonna play football. I'm gonna play football. But it's like you don't realize how very slim it is a chance of making it.
No, what was that time? Were there a lot of young international players coming in? Like the scouting was. Yeah,
they'd have.
Was that intense?
In Chelsea?
Yeah.
Actually, this was when they were very. You had a lot of young English players. This is when I think John Terry just was in the youth as well. He was a young scholar.
Jody Morris probably.
Morris
would have come through.
Jody Morris and John Harley, left back. So you had all these
local guys coming
a lot of
through.
Young players. So that was, and then you had Steve Clark like as the player for them, and so that was Chelsea back then. And obviously then we worked our way up through 12 till 13, 14, 15, and then 16. 16 is a time when you're about to leave school, and then it's decision time if they're going to take you on as a young scholar, a YTS, and then that's the one where you'll be training. You'll get some allowance and salary to play football instead of going on to college.
Basically, young professional at this point. So this is sort of 16 to 19 years old.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit with that for your kind of schoolboy career. At what point? Because I'm assuming that during this sort of period of 12 to 16, you're now thinking, I want to make a career out of football.
Yep.
And your mindset's changed.
And I'll be honest. Everyone knows that growing up, I modelled my game after David Beckham. Like this is the time David Beckham was probably the best player, one of the best players in the world.
You playing the same position?
Same position,
right wing,
same style of play. So me and my brother, we'd go outside, whether it be in our back garden or to the park or even on the streets, where like we literally play football, and we just work on me whipping the ball in and Phil finishing off. Like,
who's Phil?
My brother Phil.
No, who's Phil? Who's Phil modelling his game on?
Either Dwight York or Andy Cole. Dwight York or Andy Cole.
Yeah, okay.
Who else? Or actually, as well, maybe a bit like he would be Michael Owen.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
that's not a bad.
Yeah, exactly. So for England, you had Beckham whipping it in, whipping the ball in for the strikers. So that's what me and my brother would just constantly do, and it was good because we got a chance to do that every day after school. Even when it was dark, we had a little lamp. You could still see everything on the road. But then we were able to bring that onto the field. And I think actually that's what really helped me and my brother, especially me, because Phil was a really talented, still is, talented player in Chelsea. And obviously he scored the goals. And
was he prolific as a kid?
Yep.
Yeah.
While me, I was sort of like the midfielder, a right-sided player, right back sometimes, right winger, kind of having to prove that I was worthy of a YTS. And Phil, but I think that really helped me with me learning to cross a ball and feel like finishing off, because they were like young two brothers playing together who work well together. That's good to have.
And where would you say you were within that group? Like, did you always feel I've got a really good chance of making it here?
No, it was. I being honest, I think I was a question mark.
Yeah. So who else is coming through with in your age group?
We had a lot. We were kind of seen as the next class of '92.
Right.
But we had
high hopes for your age category.
Yeah, high hopes for our age category, and this is when Ken Bates was still in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were the group that they took on. There was 7 of us. They took on. They didn't give YTS to some of the boys, but before, I think the year before, they maybe did 3 or 4. But ours, I think, was the biggest group that they took on for YTS. So 7 of us. 7 of us. So.
And who's in that group? So obviously you and your brother.
Me and my brother.
Yep.
Jimmy Smith.
Yep. Who obviously went on to have a good footballing career.
Yeah, I'm actually at the moment catching up with these boys on Instagram, which is quite good. Thank you for social media, by the way. Jimmy Smith, Anthony Grant, Adrian Pettigrew, Ed Brand, and Joe Tillen. Forgive me if I forgot, but that's 7, yeah.
7, yeah.
7 of us. So.
And some of those, I think Ed's back at the club now, right?
He's working with the youth team, I think.
Yeah.
And
how have the rest of the boys fared?
They're all still playing in the game, so they've all found a career in the game, which is fantastic. It's great to hear. But there's a very good story about there's a boy who Joe Edwards. He was part of our
I know
group.
the story. Go on, tell it. I'm sure the listeners would really like to hear this one.
Joe Edwards was a great player, like great centre midfielder. A bit like me, we both had the David Beckham hair when growing up. But Joe was great. Joe was great, and he wasn't one to get YTS with us. But so of course it did work out for him as a player. But then I think he took a bit of a break from football at 16, and then Neil Bath, the academy director, offered him, come try being a coach. So he became a coach at Chelsea with the academy, and he's been with them ever since, part of the Chelsea group as a coach. He's now part of the first team with Frank Lampard as a coach. Mm-hmm. So now every time I'm seeing Chelsea in pre-season, I see Joe Edwards there. I think that's he's done fantastically well to remain in the game.
But he stopped playing.
Stopped playing.
For how long?
He would still play, like, I think, for like recreational, but he really pursued coaching as a career. So I think that's a great example showing if you don't make it as a player, there's still something in the game for you.
Yeah, so early into it.
He's still young, and I'm being honest, I see him one day being a Premier League coach if he carries on the route he's at.
It's an incredible story, that one. I mean, I've known about him because I think you turned me on to him quite a while back. He said to sort of follow his career.
That's right. There's boys in there like yourself. I think just you speak to them, they have great knowledge of the game, and you know that they're going to go on and do well because it's become their craft. Football has become their craft, where they're just constantly thinking of football, and they know how the game works.
Yeah. So obviously you get taken on. So James has mentioned it before. The YTS scholarship period. It really is a pivotal moment in a young footballer's career.
Yeah, that's decision time.
That's decision time, and that's when people start to get a feel for whether or not they're going to be pursuing football as a professional career, or like your friend having to pursue other avenues. So then you go into full time. With Chelsea.
Yep.
But
Steve Clark was our coach.
but before that, I'm just trying to get this timeline correct. Your father passed away.
Yeah.
Are you still a schoolboy at this point?
Actually, no. So we got YTS. Our dad was still alive at this time.
Right.
It was actually a year and a half, maybe, when we became scholars.
Into your scholarship.
He was actually. He actually got. Actually, I think when we got just after we got YTS. Our scholarship, our young pros. Our dad was diagnosed with cancer.
Right, yeah.
So at that time, so it was a kind of a tricky time. But I'll be honest, Chelsea Football Club were fantastic in supporting me and my brother. The coaches would arrange pickups for me and my brother because we couldn't drive yet.
Right.
Still learning to drive.
Yeah.
Steve Clark would bring us, actually drive me home from training. Steve Clark, the football coach. He was great. It's one where he would talk. He goes, "You learning to drive, James?" I went, "Yeah," and he was like, "Yeah, it's just like football practice." And he's right. They were so supportive. Like they would do whatever they could to help you make it as a footballer. Like they would really do anything. With anyone, if you've got the right attitude and they really want you to do well. They don't want to see anyone fall off the ladder.
And your dad was diagnosed with
Lung cancer.
Lung cancer.
Lung cancer. And
Yeah.
it was what.
Because what was he doing? What was his job in?
He was a chartered accountant
Yeah.
for a company in London. Handled the books of Boy George, Mariah Carey, the band Prodigy, stuff like that. So he worked on those accounts. Yeah. We're really impressed, and it's
When you say the accountant, I have images of Ben Affleck in the movie.
Not the sniper.
No, okay.
He went like that, but yeah, it was great. So now and then, me and my brother would go into the office with our dad, see him in action, and it was really impressive.
Yeah. So obviously a serious career, and feels quite number oriented, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
so am I. We actually, to be
sure.
honest, math was our strong subject
really,
in school. Yeah, we're actually in the top grade for that one.
It's in
the
the genes.
Yeah.
It's in the genes.
Nah, not so. Our little sister, she'll disagree. She's like, I hate math. I went, no, that's the fun part.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what's in what we do.
So and he battled with cancer for a year and a half?
Maybe 2 years
2
actually,
years.
because but there was a time when we thought it was gone, but I think it came back, and we were given the news that I think the doctors told our dad, and me and my brother are still like trying to process it as well.
Yeah,
Our
of
dad
course.
was like,
How did it affect you on the field?
it was maybe at home it affected me, being
Right.
honest, but football.
Was that your respite?
Football. That would take my mind off it,
Yeah.
because you're surrounded by the people and you just talk football, and that's what's great. What I appreciate about the sport. One of the things I appreciate about the sport, that just it takes you away out, takes you out of it, and you forget about those sort of things. And I mean, it sort of develops that attitude where you just got to get on with life. There's nothing, by thinking about it, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're so tight knit as a family.
Mm.
Yeah, and you have football, but you also have this very close relationship with your sister and your mom before.
Yeah.
She was so hands on.
Yeah.
And probably that's the player you are now, and the person you are.
No, exactly. That's why I've watched inspirational talks lately, and the ones about the girl won USA, and she talks about how she kept losing at the 6 pageants 6 years in a row before she became Miss USA, and she says she thinks that time was perfect for her because she won't be the person she is without those times. So I think that you're right. It's the person you're molded today is what's happened in your past. So yeah, it's great that we have had that family bond, and that's why, going back to our earlier discussion about how we react to certain things, that's because of what our past upbringing's been.
Yeah. So obviously you do your scholarship, and you were there for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be released by a club, and it's one of those moments that it stays with you, haunts you, and it's a very difficult experience. How were you informed? How were you told? how did you react?
I still remember. I'll go back to as well. Like, I remember being in the Philippines. I remember being in the Philippines before we actually started our YTS, and we were watching in Sofitel here, and we were watching back then. I think like some form of CNN. I think it was CNN back then, and they were actually announcing the news that Abramovich had bought the club. And to be honest, I had no idea what it exactly meant. I didn't know that they were coming and they have loads of money to purchase all these players, and not until I actually got back to Harlington to begin working, and the head coach of the reserve team, Mick McGivern, then was the one to say, let's all try to forget about what's happening at the top here and focus on ourselves. And I was kind of, oh, is this a problem now?
Right.
And as it went along, you could see what was happening. It was obviously it's a big opportunity for Chelsea, and it's great the players they bring, the likes of Varane.
This is like free spending time now.
Free spending time, and it's. I'll be honest, it was great to see like the players come in, the caliber, but it made it very difficult as a young player at the club to really make it.
Yeah. So did you see that your pathway was now limited?
Yes.
And you had a shelf life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why it was kind of hoping. Like, I mean, you kind of hope that you never know, something may go right. It's but the way Chelsea from then on were getting nearer the top of the league table, pushing through to the Champions League semi-final. So top of the club, it's great. It's just as a youth player, it's like, oh no, it's getting very slim now, the chance.
But you haven't played for the Philippines yet that time.
No, it was 2 years into becoming a scholar. So when I'm 19. So that's when I played in SEA Games 2005.
Yeah, we'll definitely come on to that
where
later.
we were meant to play with you, Chris, but
Yeah,
we couldn't make it.
You missed that great opportunity, which would have been the highlight of your career.
But yeah, so Chelsea, it was very difficult that time. And then came to actually a year maybe after the SEA Games. I was on such a high, being honest, playing in SEA Games, so confident, like coming here and playing in front of the Collard, in front of all the fans, and seeing how and I was like so excited. I was like, I want to play here regularly now for the Philippines. And but then obviously a year later it didn't quite work out for me at Chelsea. My brother stayed on a year or two after, but me, I remember being called in. I expected it.
Yeah.
You know, I knew it was coming, because I was playing now and then with Brendan Rodgers in the youth team. I thought I did well.
Yeah.
It's just
this is Brendan Rodgers now
for
Leicester
Leicester
manager,
manager, former Liverpool manager, who was our youth team coach.
Yeah.
But he was great. I think like if I had been a bit younger and worked with him, things may have been a bit different. But I think it's just we were a bit unfortunate with the timing of, like, Steve Clark was our youth team, and then he got promoted to with Mourinho, and then we were unsure of, like, all the coaches came in were fantastic. It's just we were kind of like unsure where our development was going.
Right.
And being a young, I knew it was coming when I remember being called in by Mick McGivern and Neil Barth, and I knew it was coming because obviously it was like, you've been called in. It's not good news.
Yeah.
And they just said, unfortunately, you won't be offered a new contract. And I actually, I knew it was coming, so I was okay. But I was actually thinking of my next step. They actually asked me, "Do you have an agent?" I said, I have someone who can get me trials at other clubs." And then so I went to the next day in training. Actually, I was the best player on the park, because I was like, I feel I've got nothing to lose now.
Yeah.
But then I went on trials to other clubs, and they were lower leg club. It just wasn't the same. It was very difficult.
You went to my old club, didn't you?
I went to Brighton, but with Brighton as an I actually played for Staines. I played Burgess Hill actually for Staines Town in a friendly.
My other brother's old club.
Yeah, I played in a friendly on a Saturday, and I started off so well. But I remember jumping up and I fell flat on my ankle, and my ankle went over, and I was in agony. It just swelled up, and like I didn't have a physio because I wasn't with a club, and Staines was semi-professional, so there was no one full time to look at me. And someone had arranged a trial for me at Brighton. I said, I'm injured, and I just try to hide it. I'm like, it's gonna be I'm like limping around. So it makes me laugh when people hear I have an ankle injury, and they're like, just walk it off. I'm like, oh, these are serious. I have to use my ankle. So I went on trial at Brighton. I could barely kick a ball. It was agony. And I had to drop out. I tried to play, but the coach was like, are you injured? I went, yeah. And then he was like, why are you playing? I went, well, I was kind of encouraged to do it by someone. And so I went to the physio, and he went, yeah, you've twisted, you've got a bad sprain. Why are you playing? I went, well, I've got to find a club, and he's like, yeah, but you've got to be a bit more smarter. It just wasn't meant to be. I went, no.
And where else did you go? Because did you go trials?
I went Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury, that's right.
Shrewsbury. I played a friendly game straight up, no training. Went up with another Chelsea teammate who was a bit younger than me, but also got released. We went to Shrewsbury up north, and I did really well in the first game. Best player, I'm not being big-headed, best player on the field. And then we met with the manager after, and I was a bit more relaxed because I knew I had a good game. And then he was like, "Yeah, looks like we're going to offer you a contract." So I was like, "Happy days." And then went back to London, carried on training with Chelsea, and then I found out you have another game for Shrewsbury. Went to play it. It was the conditions weren't as nice as the before. I'm not blaming the field, but I kind of didn't have I did an okay game, and then so I had an okay game, and then I didn't hear back from the Shrewsbury people. And then after that, it'd been arranged for me to go to Puerto Rico for a trial there.
Okay, the Islanders.
Yeah, I'm not sure about. I went to Puerto Rico for a trial, so I went to Puerto Rico, spoke to the academy director of Chelsea. He was with us, accompanying us to see how things were. And then I was like, I'd never heard back from Shrewsbury. When I spoke to them, they said they wouldn't pursue anymore. Okay, that's one bad game. Well, not bad game. I did as good as the previous game, but that wasn't meant to be. And then went to Puerto Rico for a trial. As soon as I arrived, the academy director comes up to me. I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is the coach you were meant to try out for, he's just resigned. The good news is we stay at a 5-star hotel for a few days. So we just went there. We worked out at the gym, sunbathed. I became so dark when my brother Phil saw it. What's happened to you? So I went there, and then we went from there to Puerto Rico. I went on trial to Florida for Warren Barton.
Okay.
for Warren
Yeah.
Barton.
Wow, you made a U.S. tour.
I did a US
Yeah.
tour. It's like I was being rewarded for being released on a holiday around the States. So I went to Florida. Like Warren Barton set up this like kind of exit trials thing.
Yep.
Went to stayed in a nice accommodation, like these condos where it was development, but it was really nice. Warren Barton would drive us himself in the vans he'd hired and bring us to a football field. The problem was only one scout had come to watch us all, and he was an indoor football scout, so that kind of didn't work out. I got a nice holiday, went back to Staines, kind of chilled for a bit.
Yeah, but that's kind of nice that Chelsea looked after them.
They are. That's why being nice. People ask, who do you support? And I was like, well, growing up, I used to support Man United. I still do. I still follow them. But Chelsea, really, I didn't grow up supporting Chelsea, but because of the way they looked after their player, they are in my heart, Chelsea. And actually, at the moment, I really I hope Chelsea do really well with Frank Lampard in charge and with their transfer ban. I hope they really use this opportunity to get their youth and show this is a chance now to get their youth involved.
I have a question. How was Phil during your
my
very,
release?
very very tough time for
my
you?
dark days.
Yeah, but how was your brother?
He was
helping you out.
He was good. Phil was good. Obviously, he was disappointed when things didn't quite work out for me. He still went to Chelsea, and I thought he did very well. He was playing with the likes of Scott Sinclair then, and Phil was actually making the headlines, even sometimes in newspapers. It was mentioned that he's performing better than Shevchenko.
Yeah, I remember that article coming out. I remember seeing that. Was that pre-season?
It was like there was at Brentford. They played at Brentford, and it was actually during the season, like because some first teamers would play in the reserves. But I think that shows you can play better than some players. It doesn't work out, and then. So Phil was very good. I remember that those times I was kind of looking at other opportunities, and then Phil, he would train in the mornings, and then as soon as he'd get back after lunch, he'd get in the car and drive straight to drive near to Wimbledon basically to go play tennis with Chad Gould every day because he loved tennis. He enjoyed tennis, and he was good. Phil did really well. He focused on his work, and he was getting used to his routine now of maybe doing things for himself now.
For me, I think what James has illustrated really well there is the pitfalls of being a footballer, because people see a lot of these players, they're playing in the Premier League, they see all the trappings of what comes with being a Premier League footballer, but what you don't see is the hardship.
Exactly.
The hundreds, the thousands of kids that get released, that get thrown on the scrap heap,
and where they go from there.
Where do they go from there? Because going back to what Sadelf was talking about there, you're from a very tight-knit family. You've got a good support network there. For you, despite a very hard-to-navigate landscape in terms of, trialing at different clubs, getting bad advice, albeit having a couple of nice holidays, but really not furthering your football career at this point.
I felt the clock was kind of ticking because, you were getting a salary, but actually I'm an adult now, and I need to, yes, I have my family and my mum, but our dad's not around, and I'm kind of me and my brother, we're sort of coming towards being the breadwinners of the family. Yeah. So you have to you find ways to I was like, I need to start working. Actually, I came to a point. After that, Phil decided things didn't work out for Phil. I'm going on a bit. Things didn't work out for Phil at Chelsea as well. So Phil straight away moved here to the Philippines and had to go at modelling and showbiz. While me, I stayed in London and I tried other things. I did a bit of modelling work there as well. Did a bit of TV work, and I actually enjoyed it. It was good. The one who helped me with that was Chad. Actually, that's what Chad used to do when he was uni, and he was like, "It's good money, and it's quite fun work."
I think it's lucky that you sort of found something to keep yourself occupied.
No, that's it.
Because a lot of people, when they come out of full-time football, they go down a dark path.
No, exactly.
And especially given the circumstances with the cars that you had dealt with, which was horrific. Yeah. Things could have been very different for you had you not had that support network, like you said, your family, like people like Chad and your brother.
Mate, exactly. And I'll remember that moment actually when me and my mum, we were contemplating moving to the Philippines, and it was a time when I was with Chad Gould a lot in London, and we were like, I was like, I'm going to give football one more go, and then I remember we went on trial at Metropolitan Police. It was a club really financed well, and they had a nice
6th, 7th tier.
Yeah, they had a super nice stadium, really nice. Grass was beautiful. You just wanted to play on it. I played there for my school team in the final. It was just fun. But Met Police, so we did the pre-season work, me and Chad. We were like, right, fresh start, we're doing pre-season. We're going to stick at it. We're going to work our way up the ladder. And
So basically, you're starting again.
again.
From semi-pro.
After I've done a bit of modelling work, I picked up cars for a living. I would be the bailiff. So like,
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. When people couldn't afford to pay their cars anymore, I went with these other guys, knocked on the door, and went, "Yeah, we've got to take your car." I mean, that's why I did for extra money.
Yeah. How long did that? How long were you?
I did that for a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was good. It was good. It's of course it's just the way it is. No, these people they were okay about it. It's part they can't afford to pay the cars anymore. So it's not like there was any struggle I had to get violent.
Like James said, it was the big guy behind the agent knocking on the door. It's like,
So-
hey, if you're not gonna give me the key, I'm
Yeah, of course I have to earn money.
There's no confrontations in this role.
No.
Everyone gave up their car willingly.
They were there because they knew it was coming. They've been we'll be around tomorrow to collect the car. But I did that with someone else, and that was good. That was a bit extra money for me, and just something so I could until football came, another opportunity football came along.
How old were you then? Here.
20. This is the time I think for 2000 Maldives. Remember we went to the Maldives?
Okay, so they're talking 2009.
9.
7 or 8.
No, 8.
2008. So we called up for the national team again to go to the Maldives, but me and Chad were with that time as well. We trained with Metropolitan Police, and for pre-season. So for fitness, we'd always go running around Richmond Park, and I did quite well. But Chad was a machine. Chad ran nearly overlapped people in a park. Chad could run for fun. So Chad was the dominating one in the running in that one. Then we would do uphill runs with power work, and I was dominating in that one. So me and Chad, the top of the list, fitness work. And then in training and pre-season, we're passing the ball around rondos, everything with the assistant coach. Pop, pop, pop. It's great. It's like me and Chad are loving it. It's like this could be it, Chad. Came to our first pre-season game, and the assistant coach wasn't in charge. It was the head coach, but it wasn't the football part. Nice field. We didn't touch the ball because the ball was just being booted from one end to the other. It's like you have this nice field, but you don't use it. So it's kind of like a mismatch, and that just didn't work out. And I remember saying to Chad, I really enjoy the Philippines. I think I'm going to move to the Philippines. I love football, but it's time to move to the Philippines.
If you want to catch the second episode of his 2-part special, subscribe to us on YouTube, download our episodes on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. Also, drop a comment para tuloy-tuloy itong Across the Line.